Right. So, we're gonna get started with the AMA. The idea for this AMA is to kind of round off the year and to talk about the year 2018 and how it's been. Because especially for AVA, it's been a very turbulent year. I had you guys from the chat come up with all sorts of questions for me, so I'll be reading them out loud first. I think it's 720p, by the way, for me, the webcam. So I'll read out the questions first, and then I'll just get started with question one. I've got 6 so far, but if you have anything popping into your mind, just make sure to drop it in the chat, and I can still answer them. So first of the questions. The first question was sent in by Sokoza. It is, who is your favorite AVA dog tag operative? So, tricky one. Very tricky one for me, especially because literally every answer I can give is wrong. The second one, sent by Vermi, Face It or ESL. Don't expect any surprises here. Third one, how are you doing IRL? I'll try to make a story out of that a little bit and just talk you through 2018, how it's been for me. I'll try to get a little bit personal. Maybe you'll like that. Let's see. Fourth, your favorite game of 2018, sent by Sokolza again. It's not that much of a hard question for me, but it's a really good question. I like to see those kind of questions. Then question 5, again by this one's by Gars, sorry. The IRL one was sent by XCR, Face It or ESL by Vermi. Let's see, the 5th by Gars. What changes on AVA dog tag would you like to see? So we're getting into the dog tag questions. I think it's good to mention those as well. So I'll try to dive into those and come up with some ideas and have you think as well, obviously. And then finally, which guns from the old AVA do you not want to see in AVA dog tag? We're going to make a list. We're going to make a long list of stuff that we don't want to see. So I'm going to take a sip and I'll start answering the first question. I'll take a little bit of time so you guys can reply in the chat if you have any questions. I'll try to keep this one fairly long because I do want to mention a lot of people. Totally not branded. So yeah, first question. Who's your favorite operative for AVA dog tag? So we are a team of like 20 operatives. And I think people, well, know that I've been around a lot of the operatives for a very long time. I've known most of them for a couple of years, so it's always difficult to choose between them. I mean, obviously there are a few people in the team that I wouldn't pick. I'll leave that aside. But there are a lot of people that I'd have to choose from. So I want to start off with making a lot of honorary mentions of people that I've known for very long and worked with for a very long time, such as Norky and Kron, who've been working with us, part of the operatives team, even back on EME, now for dog tag, and obviously in the ESL team as well. So I've known them for a very long time. Norky's been in my clan as well. We've played quite a bit together too. So yeah, he's very good to have around. And then when you move on, there's just so many people that I got to know, I think like 4 years ago. It's even back when Shin and Xena were still GSs, but obviously they aren't now, so I can't mention those. But also people like Zyrix, who I got to play with a lot, and Shirokon, both of the Germans, who I really like playing with as well, and hopefully I can do that in Dog Tag too. And then Miz, who I almost met this summer, almost! You would be the first operative that I would have ever met if that would have come through, but fortunately it didn't. So another honorary mention from Miz. Now as well, I can get along very well with Ramses. I didn't know him too well, to be fair, but I've been getting along with him very well. Bunny is also really nice to have on the team. Definitely can't leave Zach out the picture, who I've been fairly close with actually for the last half year and been able to talk with her a lot, play a lot of games with her. She's been around the streams, such as now as well, so definitely really appreciate you having here, but I think it's going to come a little bit unexpected, the person I'm going to name. It's going to make a lot of sense, though, as soon as I explain it, because those were my honorary mentions. If I missed out any of the operatives, I most likely have. It's quite a big team, so I'm sorry for that. Like Silent, for example, that I missed out on. But yeah, a lot of operatives. I definitely appreciate all of them. But the one that I have to appreciate the most, who isn't really officially an operative right now, even though he's quite there in the Discord is Ink. So I know it kind of sounds weird why I would name him as my favorite operative, but because of Ink, Ink is pretty much the reason why I'm here. When I applied to become an ESL admin almost 4.5 years ago, he was the one reading through it, supporting my stream, accepting me as an ESL admin. Then within a month, I was streaming the tournaments, became the commentator, went to stream the games on CGO Media. I developed as a person a lot too, mainly when it comes to dealing with people. During the cups, helping out with that, setting new stuff up. Ink has kind of been a little bit of a mentor for me, and that kind of tempered me down a little bit because I was when I became an ESL admin, I know this is going to sound absolutely stupid, but when I became an admin, I honestly thought I'm going to make sure that nobody's going to ever cheat in cups. That had to be toned down. It's never impossible to do stuff, but Ink has been a very good mentor for me throughout. He's supported me a lot. Now with DocTech coming around, also said that, I should step up and become the leader of the section now for DocTech, but he's been such a great support throughout. We've done commentary runs with him as well, so because of that, like I said, he's the reason I'm standing here, so I think it's fair to say that he's my favorite operative because of that, because otherwise I wouldn't be where I'm at now. So, might be an interesting one, something that you didn't expect, but due to that, it's got to be Ink. But no, there are not any. I don't recall any Russian operatives having been there. Closest I've got was when the ESL admin's dream, but he's from Lithuania. Basically Russia, but, No, I don't recall any operative being from there. No. So yeah, that was the first question. Any surprises? Any replies in the chat, perhaps? So what do you think of it? I mean, there are a lot of people that I could choose from, to be fair. I hope I didn't make Sakurai. Hey, okay. I don't have to do it. Well, you'll get to know. How about Wolf? I never worked with Wolf personally. Obviously, he's been an ESL admin, but no, I've never really met him. He was an admin before my times, but yeah, that's an ESL end. I did get to work with Zeter there, where I got to know Zeter. So, but yeah, he's never been a GS or operative either, but Zeter's also a very good guy. Fun playing with him too. Still do sometimes, but I think the last game I played with him was Warframe. I think I kind of got him into that, and he's been playing it non-stop. Like, I think Zeter found out about the game like half a year ago, and he should have near 1k hours already. Can you tell more about your OP duties? And how selection happens. How selection happens, I honestly don't even know, so I wouldn't be able to answer that. But when it comes to operative duties, it's basically supporting Redduck a little bit, coming up with ideas, setting up stuff like events, like the thing we've done in the past, like when there were 5,000 people on the Discord server, we had give out extra keys, stuff like that. And what else? Well, monitoring the Discord a little bit as well, making sure that people don't go crazy there. So monitoring that a little bit. And yeah, it's basically just, well, I wouldn't necessarily say community manager. It's more of a team working out. How I always saw the operatives team, at least definitely in the past, is that we're all a big family, Everyone gets along with each other very well. And you work together towards a common goal. So I don't really see it as a job, and that's why it was also pretty difficult to pick a favorite operative, because you do see most of them sort of like a family, I know it sounds weird, but that's kind of how it is. And that's how I think the operatives team definitely should be as well. A lot of people that are close with each other, good friends, can get along with all, and just working towards a common goal. It's a bit of a family. But yeah, other operative duties. Now, apart from that, nothing special. Hasn't been too busy for us lately, to be honest. So I'm trying to get. Well, I had like an idea, but I haven't really pushed through with it. So I'll try to do that in the coming days. But yeah, just get some stuff rolling, and yeah, basically just helping out Reddock, coming up with ideas and setting out the lines for that, coming up with guidelines and structure, and such and so. So let's move on to the next question. If you have anything else coming into your mind, just drop it in the chat. I'll try to reply it on the go. But we'll go to the second question first, and that is Face It or ESL, sent by Vermi. Before you proceed to my question, I have to wait a little bit. All right, Vermi. I'll wait a little bit. I can check my phone in the meantime, because I've got stuff popping up again. Oh. How did I open? Never mind. Of course he is. One sec. I understand you're working with. Can reflect a bit on progress made by other companies. Honestly, I don't keep too much of an eye on that. But I think it comes in waves, you know, because I am an admin. Obviously, I help out. I'll just go straight on to answering the question. Face it or ESL. I think it has a little bit of two sides because as an admin, of course, I'm monitoring the events, setting up events, adminning them, and dealing with the cups. But that also means I'm not able to play in them myself. So when it comes to playing, well, I can't play the ESL events, so I play Face It. I only played Face It for CS at this point, but given that DocTech will have Face It support, I'll definitely try that out as well. And when it comes to ESL, I'll be managing those and casting those. But yeah, I've been working a lot with ESL. Like I said, over 4 years already. You know, 2 years ago, I would suggest Face as a possible. Oh, wouldn't. Well, of course, you have ESCA as well when it comes to. What do you mean leaks? I'm not making any leaks. Yeah, for CS you kind of had those, but I think Face It's been doing pretty good, and I think it's gonna be an important move for AV as well. So I'll definitely start to play there, and just have some fun, but more casually. Yeah, it has been confirmed already. It's on the website. I can link you. It was in the director comments, so it was kind of like, "Hi, we're doing this." I was like, okay, I want to, like, I knew about this for a very, very long time, so I was constantly like, don't spread it out, I want to use this as a hype, I want to use it as big news, and then it's on the freaking website. So I wasn't too happy with that, to be honest. Let's see. Gameplay and system. So when it comes, what they said, will there be esports components to the game in the future? And the reply that they made to that is absolutely. So prepare for official launch. We will apply various options for users to experience in competitive play. This includes external third-party integrations such as ESL and Face It, as well as client-based ranking system, including clan systems and ranked. So that's what they said regarding esports related stuff and AV DocTech. So here it was confirmed, and yeah, it kind of sucked, to be honest, because I would have liked to push it forward in a bit more of a big thing, because it is a big thing, and I think compared to other direct competitors Dog Tag has, like perhaps Black Squad or maybe Iron Sight. They all don't have that, so that's very good. The thing that Faceit has, I think, what Faceit offers, it's not really something that ESL offers. What Faceit offers the direct matchmaking games, which ESL had with ESL Versus in the past, but that has been discontinued. So it's a little bit different. So I think for Faceit, it was very good to have your competitive games on a more casual side, even though you can host tournaments as well. And then for the actual bigger tournaments, stuff like seasonal leagues perhaps, or an ICC like we had in the old AVA, I think those kind of things are better to do on ESL. That's my personal opinion on that. But yeah, as I said, to come back to your question before I derive too much, Faceit or ESL, because of the distinction that they have, I think Faceit is better when it comes to casual play. And for myself, well, obviously as an admin, I can't play in the cup, so when it comes to playing myself, I choose Faceit. But I think overall, in general, I think well, obviously ESL, because I'm also a part of that. Do you have any side notes to that, or stuff that you want me to elaborate on? Let's quickly go through Discord. Nothing here. Nothing here. No. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much that for the second question, at least from my end. Okay. And the next one, Senpai X here, how are you doing IRL? Let's turn it in a bit to no worries for me. Let's turn this a little bit to a story how 2018 has been for me personally. Yeah. Like, I started off having New Year's Eve at Julio's place in Mallorca. First time that I got absolutely wasted as to the point that I couldn't remember stuff. Managed to do that a second time this year in summer. Again with Julio around, so I don't think he's a good influence to me, by the way. But yeah, that's how my year started off. So the first year of January wasn't very active, so to speak. But it was really cool to get the year started like that. And it's definitely been one of my better New Year's Eves that I ever celebrated. So honestly, that's also why I'm a bit dreading this year, because it's hard to beat New Year like that. But yeah, the rest of that, I think it started off pretty good. Around January, Brav was talking to me on WhatsApp. I'm friended with him pretty okay. And he said that he wanted to support prizes for ESL, so throw in some money on his end. So I had to check that with ESL, and it was a little bit tricky, but one way or another, we were able to do it. So I was really hyped because this was a big move for AVA. And on AVA's side as well, with GM Disco Dolly coming around, I think that was late 2017 though, but in 2018 as well, she's been a really good support. So I was really hyped for AVA, and I was like, okay, this is the way for us to get AVA out of that low and push it back up the hill again, trying to get it better. So I was really hyped about that, and I was pretty much preparing a lot of stuff. We had the cups on running. I was thinking about hosting some bigger tournaments. We had, I think, hosted one or two of those cups with Rev, where I had prize money included. And I'm not sure if it was a seasonal league or the Nations Challenge. I think it was the Nations Challenge that I wanted to host. So I pretty much had my plan already. We had a meeting with EME, and I had everything prepared, and I was really excited to tell them all about that and tell them the plan that I had and make sure that we could announce everything. And they basically started the meeting saying AV is closing down, and I was like super quiet. I didn't know what to say, but they immediately told us that there was a new AVA coming up, so I took it in a good way. This was like late April, so that was very good to hear, because otherwise I would literally, I don't know how it would have been. It was a bit weird hearing that, but because of that, I just said like, hey, you may want to send Reddit, my ESL email address so I can help them out when it comes to tournaments in a new game, because they did mention that for well, I didn't know the name back then, but they wanted to do an esports focus with a new game. And I think like the next day I had a message from Rob, and that's when I started talking to Rob, and we had some chats in voice. So basically by the end of April, I already knew it, but at this point it was only EME and the operatives team who knew about the new game. And it took quite a while until the actual news came out that DogTag was coming around, and I was able to drop some teasers for that on my own stream, so that was very good. And yeah, that's basically where the story started. You didn't do anything, Zach. Where did this come from? What the hell? Good evening, Kana. Welcome. So yeah, that's how that kind of started. And then, yeah, I've just been able to... I was in contact a lot with Rob. We started to set up everything. At some point, we get the other operatives on board. We set up the Discord, and we pretty much got going. Kept it quiet for a while, of course, and started to get everything rolling. The website came, the announcements came, the stream with Rob that I did, and then, of course, the testing of the game that actually began, where a lot of people were hyped for, and I'm still hyped for that, don't get me wrong. So I was very happy to see that. Yeah, when it comes to more personal things, I don't think there has been a lot going on, to be fair. I mean, we had just before the holidays, I had a trip to Ireland for a week with my classmates, because it was a thing that we had to do from school. We had to go there for 3 days. We had to go to Dublin, and we were like, oh, screw this, we'll just go for a week. So that was quite a sick holiday. A lot of fun there. So if you ever wanna go out, have fun at the pubs, go to Dublin. It's very good. We even watched the Champions League final there on our final day, so that was really cool. So good memories to that. No drunk memories, by the way, but definitely some good memories. I mean, it was kind of stupid, to be fair, because we got ourselves a bed and breakfast. Pretty much everyone got like a hotel and stuff and paid like quite a bit of money. And we're like, no, we're going to get an Airbnb and we're going to be out cheap. We were 5 kilometers away from the city center. So when we went out or did something in the evening, we had to go back. And that was a 1.5 hour hike. And you don't want to be making those hikes when it's 3:30 in the morning and a couple of people are absolutely wasted. It's, I'll just tell the story. So it was like 3:30. We had to walk back from the center, and there weren't any cabs around anymore. We're just like, yeah, we'll just walk back. So we walked all the way back. A couple of my mates were pretty wasted. One of them was annoyed as hell because there weren't any cabs around, and pretty much everyone's phones were dying. My phone was the one where I did the sat nav with, but like my internet bundle already reached its limit, so it was kind of limited what I had. So basically I was guiding his back in a foreign city using crappy internet and Google Maps, which updated every like 10 seconds or so. So basically I was guiding us home on a map. Went pretty okay, and when we were about an hour in, one of my mates was like, I'm in a good mood, I'll like run over the street. So he starts running over the street. Like, you know what he does? He starts running. He makes himself like an airplane like this, and he starts running. It's like, oh my, and he keeps running down the street. He goes around the street. He's like running all over there, and a freaking police car comes around the corner. I was like, oh my god. So we got pulled over. They were wondering what the hell we were doing. Thankfully, it was bright enough to explain them where we're going, and that everything was okay. So they believed us. They let us walk on. They did check on us like 15 minutes later. They saw that we were walking back. We got home safely after an hour and a half, but it was quite the story. So yeah, that was Dublin. Then in summer, God. No, they didn't give us a ride. We were like 6 people. But my mate didn't even realize that the officer was talking to him, so we just ran over there and we had to explain that he was wasted and I was guiding them home and that we're walking back, we're staying at this Airbnb, and it worked out pretty well, to be fair, because most of the people were like, oh shit, what do we do? So it was a good save. Yeah, what else? When it comes to the holidays, did I only have one holiday? I'm trying to remember. I keep thinking I have two. I know I've been to Portugal, but I thought I've been somewhere else as well. Let me think. I don't think so, actually. No. No. So, yeah, when it comes to holidays, went to Portugal. Was just after they had the big heat wave going on there, or no, not sure. I had like a stroke of heat for a couple of days, well, a week or so the week before. So it was like 50 degrees all over. And when we came there, it was like 30. But there were forest there were forest fires in the Monchique near the mountain where we went to. So it was pretty fiery up there. And the first night when I went out as well, it was literally the first night. We walked back through this thick smoke. That was only a 20-minute walk, so it wasn't that bad. But definitely the memory from there is that I think it was the second evening we walked into Stray Dog, and the friends of mine who come there every year, they saw the dog earlier and they named him Max. So Max the dog. And he always came over there, and we kept meeting up with him at the club, and every night he walked us home. So 4 nights straight he walked home with us. He just walked with us, came by, walked all the way back to the park, which was like 1.5 kilometers, and then we had to run away to make sure that we could actually go to bed. It was really fun. It was a good dog. Listened very well too. He was literally always around. We never really had to call him or anything. We just ran into him every evening. So that was good. Yeah. So that was a holiday in Portugal, basically. Made some friends there as well. Spent a night in Albufeira, but nothing on the girlfriend side, if you care to know. I did meet a lovely German girl, but yeah, nothing special. No, it was a dog named Max. It was a stray dog. You have them quite a bit in Portugal, and that's the dog that we ran into. So overall, it was a very good holiday. Was pretty in a good mood when I came back as well, and then obviously school starts again, and are kind of dreading it again. It's a bit odd to get started again, and yeah. So far, to be fair, this year school hasn't been too great so far. Only had one test in the first period, which I failed, so that was very good. Yeah, now this second term I've been having internship, which has been very exciting. I had to help out the other week with them when I'm teaching English, but the biology teacher asked us if we could help out because she wanted to split the group, boys and girls. These are second year, so they're like 14, 15 years old, because she had to give them sexual education. So I was like, okay, it's probably not a big deal. We only have to be in the computer room and making sure that they start working on assignments, which seemed pretty normal because when we had to help out the guys, when the girls were getting their demos and shit, the only thing that I basically had to do is that they weren't playing video games. So that was fine. Then the girls came. They were actually working serious on their assignments. One of the girls was completely weird as to what she has seen because she was literally going in her mind and she was looking around and she's like, how does that fit? I had to keep a straight face. It was very difficult. And then the boys came back, and then one guy apparently pulled a test object over his head, and everyone wanted to feel that because his hair felt funny. I was like, what the hell's wrong with these people? That's not how I remember my sexual education, you know? Yeah, it was so big. Indeed, sec. So exciting. One sec, headset cut off. Doesn't really matter though because there's no sound coming through. And yeah, that's how internship has been so far. So pretty good. Um, some weird moments, but I've been able to definitely enjoy myself. But yeah, those were definitely some weird and interesting ones, and definitely reminded me why I'm teaching to become an English teacher, not a biology teacher. I think that's fair. But overall, I think this year, what has it been for me? It's been, I think it's been more of a year of learning, to be fair. Started figuring out, like, okay, this is more what I need to do. Trying to get more confident in stuff and just focus a bit more on myself, especially with the new year coming up now, and just focus on DocTac, focus on the stuff that I want to do, and focus on making myself happy. I think that's the main thing that I learned this year. I think teacher pay, I think you like start off 2,500 a month, but it can go up to 3 or 4K depending on the titles that you get. Because I'm doing a 4-year study, which is for second degree teachers, so that's the lower grades of secondary school. But you can also do a master, which takes 2 years, and then you can teach the higher levels of secondary education and also university, where you can make even more. But this is full time, so that means doing 32 hours of lessons a week, and then still do your side stuff. So it is a demanding job. But that's what one of the teachers that I had internship with told me what the pay was. So the pay is pretty decent, but you definitely have to work hard for it. $180 an average in your city. Well, this is what full teachers get. When it comes to my internship, I don't get paid. So I think only by final year I will. But yeah, so far I haven't been paid for that yet. But that's fine. I mean, I'm there to learn. So for me, it's mainly when I want to become a teacher is that I help out other people and make sure that I learn them something that's going to be useful for them in the future. So that's what I'm focusing on. Does that round off the how are you doing IRL, or is there anything in particular that you still want to know? I can still answer those, obviously. And if not, I'll move on to the favorite game of 2018. But yeah, that's a yikes for me. But then again, I think it also has to do with countries, you know? Because wages in the Netherlands, France, Germany, Belgium, they're a lot different when it comes to, well, in your case, Russia. So I'm not sure the minimum wages in Russia, but minimum wage in the Netherlands is already 1,200 a month. And teachers do get paid significantly more, especially when you do secondary education, because if you do primary education, you get paid considerably less. There have been a lot of strikes about that in the year, this year actually. But yeah, they're teachers, maybe by the government not valued as much because sometimes they have to go on strike. But overall, the pay is pretty decent. But it comes with hefty workload, and you definitely need to watch out that you don't get a burnout because there are a lot of teachers that do get those. Anything else you wish to know on the IRL end? I'll just give you a couple of minutes to send the questions now and to round up this question, and then we'll move on to number 4. I've been going on about this for like 30 minutes already. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, actually. Live AMAs are best, you know? It's a good way to round off the year. So let's see. If you go on a strike here, you get a rest. Oof. Yeah, that doesn't happen here. We have a right to strike, thankfully. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah. Nobody dares to question him, Vermi. Not in Russia. Yeah, I think overall obviously 2018 had the biggest highlight of me going to TwitchCon in late October. So that really was a life changing experience. I was very happy that Rob asked me to do that, and was very great to do that first time being in the States as well. So it's been super good for me. But I think in general this has been a year of making friends, really, and just getting some nice friendships, keeping those friendships, and being happy with those, making sure that you have people around you who support you and will be there for you. And also a bit on the streaming end to improve there a little bit. I guess get a bit more professional, because I don't show up in streams anymore in my pajamas or when I don't do my hair. So I also changed that a little bit, but it's pretty much a build up when it goes to DocTech next year. Yes, including you, Zach. Definitely. You've been a very good sport throughout the year. Well, since summer, since I met you. Shall we move on to the next question, or is there anything that you still want to know? Ooh, you do. All right. Shoot. Let me know. What do you want to know, Zach? How is your workout going? Well, my arm kind of hurts because I can't stretch it, although that has nothing to do with me working out. But, I'm not the type of girl who wants to go to the gym. So I was always lazy. I was like, you know what, before I go to bed, do like 1 or 2 minutes of like small exercises to at least do something, But I've kind of let that fade away this year. Which wasn't very good. And even though I'm skinny as fuck, as you can probably see, I'm not too happy with it. So you do want to do something so that when you like look at your own chest, I say, you're like, okay, this is good. And what I also realized, because the arm issue that I have right now is probably because of the go-karting, and before I didn't have that, so that kind of shows the lack. So I've been picking it up again, but I literally started 2 days ago, so it's not anything considerable that I can mention, Zach. But yes, I have started. So yeah, it's kind of come to the point that I know that you just keep postponing it, You'll always find excuses why you're not doing something, like, oh, I feel bad, or I'm tired, or I've done so much, or I just want to sleep, or I just want to daydream, and then you fall asleep and you end up doing nothing. And now I'm just like, you know what, just freaking do something, And I've been able to do that for 2 days now, so keep an eye on me in the next couple of weeks, so I can keep that up. But that's definitely something that I want to continue in 2019, just so I guess how do I say that in a good way without making it sound weird, just so that I can do normal stuff like karting and stuff, that I'm not too lazy and don't have too much pains after that, I don't have to be like super buff or anything. I really don't care about that. Just want to be, well, slim like I am now, and not have a beer belly, basically. So just to look decent. The bus, Zach, is only, how far away is it? 150 meters, so that's barely a workout. My legs are worked out pretty well, actually. I don't have to worry about those, but that's because in secondary school, which I've had for 6 years, I always had to cycle there. So it's a 7-kilometer cycle there, 7-kilometer cycle back. Every time I go out, it's like 8 kilometers of cycling that I need to do, which last time I went out, I cycled in 20 minutes, which is pretty good, given that you have a few hills to go over. A hill in the Netherlands is like a high difference of more than 5 meters. So don't expect like big hills. It's literally 5 meters of difference. But yeah, I'm pretty content with that. It's mainly a bit in the arms, you know. Yes, over the hills and far away. I have to go through the woods, you know. It's very scary. Totally, totally not. Anything else for the IRL end? And before Zach comes with an interesting question again. But I think a good way to round it off is to just do something, you know? Don't get stuck in postponing stuff. Be like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, I'll do that next year. Or I'll do that in a few days. I'll do that in a few hours. Don't postpone stuff. Just freaking do it. Otherwise, it's never going to work out. And speaking of that, that's exactly what I've been doing with my school assignments. So that's going to be hell next week. But yeah, next question. Indeed, for me. Question number 4. Sent by Sokolza. I'll come back to that one in a bit for me because that's going to be difficult for me to answer as well. First off, your favorite game of 2018. So, Zach, obviously, I have to name Dogtag here, although it's not fully released yet. So I don't think I can officially name it. So apart from Dogtag, I'd go for Monster Hunter World. I've been looking for the release for that for a very, very long time. Even last year. I'm a big fan of the Monster Hunter series, so I was really, really excited when Monster Hunter World came out. How much did I play it now? I completed like the main storylines. I've played only 88 hours. Actually, I haven't played it in a month. But I don't really have a lot of people to play it with, but overall it's a very good game. A few minor things that I don't really like about that because the monsters now, when you get flinged or so, you're easier to get comboed. But in general, it's just a very nice game to have. The first actual decent Monster Hunter game for PC. So, yeah, I think that's definitely my game of the year because of that. Big fan of the series, and it's just a good game, you know? It's just a good game. Only expensive. It's like $60, but it was worth it, even though I haven't played 100 hours yet. But if there's anyone in the chat who's like, hey, I want to play Monster Hunter World with you, definitely let me know. I'll stream it as well. I really like playing it. Had some highlights with that as well a couple of months ago, including Zach making her famous quote. So definitely brought some memories this year. And when I come back to my favorite car, that changed a lot throughout the years. Like a couple of years ago, I was super fond of the Koenigsegg, the Swedish brand, the sports cars that they made. But when it comes to a car that actually by myself, to be fair, some muscle cars are really cool, like an old Dutch Challenger or something, which I got to. Well, I was in the passenger seat this year when my uncle borrowed it from his boss, even though they're like cool bosses. So that was super cool. But those are the cool cars, and I think when it comes to the classic car that's also a bit affordable, I've always been a fan of Subaru Imprezas, the more older ones. Been really, really fond of them. And to be fair, Corvettes, you know, the Z08 and such, they're also very, very nice. They're great cars to have, but you know, American cars are very expensive in the Netherlands because they make you pay import taxes. So, I mean, take the car in the back, for example, the Ford Shelby Mustang. Shelby, of course, being more expensive, but standard, if you've won a Ford Mustang, you'll pay 30 to 40 grand for a new one. I think like 30 grand in the States if you want a brand new one. In the Netherlands, you pay 80,000. In Germany, you pay 65 or 70k just because of import taxes. And then you even have to get through the what's it called? Environmental taxes, because they have big engines in there, and Europe doesn't like big engines. So they want you to pay for the gasoline slurping machines. Freaking V8s. don't like V8s in Europe, so that kind of sucks. But still, for me, if you buy them in an A, you have to ship it over, and then you still have to pay the import tax. So that's kind of the issue. So if I would want to drive them, I'd have to move to the States, but not really prepared to do that. So maybe someday when I get a lot of money, if ever, I'll drive one of those cars. But yeah, I'll see. You know, there are a lot of cars I really like. They don't necessarily have to be expensive. To me, they just need to look good, and the sound has to be appealing. That when you floor the pedal, that you're like, it sounds good. Like my dad has a Ford Focus Station. Ford Focus Station. I'm quite fond of those as well, because if you pedal that one down, I mean, because they're European cars, they have like their lock system on there, so not all the power is like fully pulled down, and you like rush off. Kind of like tampers a bit, but if you get the revs up a little bit there, like 3,500 to 4,000 revs, which isn't a lot at all, then it starts making a nice noise, and I'm like, okay, I like to drive this car, you know? So yeah, cars don't have to be expensive, they just have to look good, and have to sound good. And muscle cars definitely have a special place too. And Subaru Impreza them to round off. But yeah, that also rounds it up for the favorite game. It's Monster Hunter World for this year. And yeah, Dog Tag as soon as it's fully released. But since open beta is going to be in 2019 full release as well, I'll count it as a 2019 game. So I'll not include it in this folding. Anything else, or shall we move on to Garz's Dog Tag questions? No, my mates want to play. No. We'll go marbles in a bit. Let's see what you can all still come up with on the go. So far, it's been a pretty good AMA. I think we can make an hour, so that's good. Holy war time! Oh god. Dog tag discussion. Alright, let's move over then to question number 5. What changes in AVA dog tag would you like to see? Sent by Gars. If I have to dig deep, and if I want to make a very good suggestion, I think it's going to be very good for esports as well, is make sure that companies like Faceit and ESL can host their own custom servers. Because at this point, we had a guy test it. We have about a 60 tick rate. But if you have those esports organizations host their own servers, you can go up to 128 tick. And it's going to be much, much better. So, yeah, that's definitely something that I would love to see in dog tag. A ping limit's optional, debatable as well. What I think, when it comes to ping limit, at least what's also a bit of the vision from Red Duck here, because we have multiple servers. So you have one in Brazil, you have one in the States, you have one in Europe, you have one in Southeast Asia. Everyone basically has their own server, so we won't really see it as much as we had in the old AV. The BRs, the NAs all coming to Europe. The game is probably going to be big enough so that servers will be sustainable. But if that's not the case, then I think ping limits would be needed. But for now, that's not really a thing to look at. But yeah, when it comes to servers, I think in general, games, the servers are actually pretty good, you know? And I think it can stay as is. I just would like to see an addition that external servers can be hosted by tournament organizing companies so that... yes, you can have better servers for tournaments. I think that's a very important thing to do. So I'm not sure if they are working on that, considering that, or see that for something in the future. But that would definitely be a change that I'd like to see for dog tag in the future. What else? Well, personal change, something that I brought up before, might sound familiar to some peoples, is the amount of utility. At this point, we have 2 utility. That makes no sense to me whatsoever, given the old AVA with 3 utility. Just freaking change it back to 3. Okay, don't be a pain. Just let us have a nade, a smoke, and a flash. Yeah, set that right. So I don't want that anything different. And when it comes to gameplay, well, the only thing that I really suggested was the crosshair reset to make that last instant. But I think they're doing something with that, because that is a really game-breaking issue. So nothing in particular. But yeah, when it comes to stuff gameplay-wise I'd actually like to see, I think it mainly has to do with some guns that I'd like to see. You know? I mean, what is AVA without an FR and a TPG? Just like, what's an AVA without a para? Or Foresk, maybe. That still needs to be added. I think there's still some guns that need to be added. Now, for the crosshair reset, to just explain that, it is very instant. It's even correcting when you're tapping. So it resets straight away to the initial point. So it keeps resetting that. The same mechanism was there in the old AVA, but because it was less instant, people didn't really notice it and didn't really interfere with your aim. So what I've suggested, and a lot of people as well, to Redux, is to change that system, make it less instant like before, so it feels like before. Then it won't be as much of an issue. And no blue, not tonight. I'll do marbles in a bit when I'm done with this stream. Fair enough, Colso, fair enough. But yeah, any other changes I'd like to see on DocTac? I think maybe game modes as well. I think what would be very good to add is, I've mentioned this in many streams before, I will repeat it. I think it'd be very good for DocTac to bring Escort back, because Escort's a very viable mode, sustainable mode as well. Even could be utilized for esports. And you can... Hopefully they'll consider adding the escape maps in some sort of demolition way, you know? So that you can have, well, E-Boat mainly, indeed, Supreme Noodle. E-Boat's definitely been one of my more favorite maps, so I think that makes sense. So, yeah, I hope they include that in more of a demolition style way, not that they need to make a whole different game mode, because I do believe that AVA shouldn't, at least DocTag, shouldn't have a lot of different game modes. And hit markers, visible names through smoke. The names being visible through smokes is a bug, which should have been fixed in the old AVA but never did. Should have not even been there in the first alpha, at least as far as I was informed. So I'm not sure why it's still there. Maybe it's difficult to code out, but that definitely has to be removed for me. And hit markers is kind of debatable. And what we talked about, I talked about it with a lot of people. I think what is good to have is to have it a bit split. Because a lot of people do like hit markers, and I think in casual play, I mean, hit markers is not an issue. So you could either make it toggable, or make sure that in casual plays you have hit markers, or in actual competitive games that you don't have hit markers. So it's more fair in that way. Although I don't really mind the instant feedback either, and you can see classes and such when you're actually playing competitive games. I think it does give you some information, but it changes the type of game. So you will be prepared for something, and like when you see 4 appointments on the board, you will know that they're going to make a push, but you don't know where. So that's why I don't really mind. But yeah, in wallbangs, it's definitely not good. I agree with that, Fermi. But I think for that, hit markers have to be fully disabled. So for competitive play, if hit markers can be turned off, I think that'd be a good thing, yeah. Can I come up with something else? Yeah, change the Deagle. Deagle with 10 bullets. Who thought of that? Please, don't do that. Or Paro with 20 bullets. Don't change that. Don't change that, please. Yeah, I think what is very important, and I think that Redux should definitely keep an eye on, is you want to make an esports focused game, but they also need to make sure that they don't make it too esports focused so that the casual players will not like the game. So you need to find a balance in that, either with settings or with different options and different type of settings. So when you're playing Pug or PvE or clan matches, that it should be different so that it caters to the different types of people playing the game. And I think the Deagle is bad. I mean, why the hell would you have a Deagle with 10 bullets? You know, it doesn't even one thing either. It should be an actual Desert Eagle. 7 bullets, does a lot of damage, headshot is... That's what I think. So I think it should be changed. Same as the Para. I mean, the Para overall I think is pretty good. But the RF is too high and it should have 25 bullets and not freaking 20. Not sure who came up with that, but at this point, you have a Para with 20 bullets. You have an M14 EBR with 20 bullets. Those guns are now pretty much exactly the same. I think the Para is better. So people are going to use the Para and leave the M14 out. So they need to make those more distinct. I know that the M14 has more damage at the moment. So it's easier to one-dink with that. But they need to make more variation in between the guns. And I think by lowering the ROF for the Para and adding the 5 extra bullets, that would be my personal option to that. But it's when it comes to gun balancing, this is just feedback that we give, and in the end, it's up to Red Duck how they're going to change that. So, yeah, we'd have to see. But that would be my my ideal situation. EMRs and assault rifles. I think that's going to derive too much from the actual core in AVA. You know, I think they should definitely keep to that, and not add too many guns. I think that's very important. But yeah, let's see other stuff. Obviously, the replay feature is something that they need to add, but they have that on their what's it called? The developers roadmap. So that's good. What else? What else? Yeah, I think in general, what I just like to see is esports related events. You know, I want to try and set up seasonal leagues on ESL, do a Nations Challenge or ICC. I think a lot of people, at least the competitive people, have been waiting for that. And I hope at some point, maybe even next year, at least I hope, we would get LANs at some point for Dogtag. I think that would be a big, big move, and it would be absolutely amazing to have. So I think those are like my main changes or stuff that I'd like to see happening to AVA Dogtag. Anything else you guys would like to debate about? I don't know, Vermi. With advertisement, yeah. But no Facebook streams, please. Please don't. Making some big call-outs here, but no. Yeah, black score their cold cards. But yeah. I mean, what I'm happy is that I have like a certain vision when it comes to the esports end. Are they cancelled deal with Facebook now? Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm kind of glad that I'm managing the ESL end for Dogtag, so because I have my own plans, and I also like to work with the community. So I've like set up a small group with some of the old competitive players. So if you want to know, some people are in there like Taz, Kimpa, Brev, just to have some NA people in there as well. Kuryoko also added in that. Just to have some chats going on so I can talk about them with rules, stuff that we should host, or ideas in general, just to make sure that the competitive scene is really for the people that are competing in there. So they're, first of all, happy with the type of events that are being hosted. And of course, it's being done in good fashion. So with like more admins and such. So I'm happy that I have the jurisdiction over that, but definitely is not making it easier for me either. But it's cool to do. I like it. Shall we move on to the final question about the guns? Or is there anything else? When it comes to Skadoodle, people asked him on a stream, and on his own stream, I think it was playing COD at that point, he said that he would try out the game. So he's gonna try the game. Definitely didn't forget about AVA. So I'm pretty excited about that. But he has confirmed that, and there are clips about that. So he will try the game in CBT, and hopefully he'll be happy about it. Because if he likes it and plays it a lot, of course, it's gonna have a big influx to the game population as well. So it can make or break a game, you know. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, indeed. I also tuned in with his streams when I was at TwitchCon actually, and I chatted with him a little bit, and I was asking if he was coming over to TwitchCon. I was like, dude, you should have come over. We had a dog tag for him actually. You know that we had dog tag for him, but it wasn't there, so we couldn't give it to him. Honestly, I'm not sure what Rob did with it, but maybe he's keeping it safe somewhere or send it in secrecy. I don't know. I haven't asked about it, to be fair. I did have to send one to Timmy and Kim, so, but that was fine. So I know where they live. Ha. Well, I'm not sure if you were around that point, but when EME had recently taken over, late 2016, we also had God, what was his name? Summit try out AV. Nobody really told him about it. I just saw some videos of Carl and was like, hey, let me try this game. So he played the old AVA for like 2 or 3 days straight. And even though he had a lot of issues and the game crashing on him quite often, he said that if he would have been exposed to the game at the same point as CS, that it would have been difficult for him to choose. But he also gave a lot of good feedback points, and it may sound strange, but a lot of those feedback points is something that Radok has also kept in mind when developing this new game. Because what he said, for example, for rifles, the rifles feel a bit weird to use. Like, they don't come with a manual. People that play AVA know how the rifles work, but people that have never played AVA are like, what the hell is going on? This doesn't feel like any other game. So they want to make sure that guns like come with a manual, so to speak. So I think that's been a good move. So hopefully he'll try it out as well. Obviously I don't have contact with him. I don't think Carl has either, because I did reach out to Carl about that before. But who knows? He might be exposed to it because Skadoodle's playing it. Maybe Shroud will even join in with Skadoodle because they stream together from time to time. And we'll see. I did meet up with Glock on... I think, what was his name now? Haryapi or something? I forgot his exact name. But he's also a pretty big streamer now on Twitch. An old AVA player. And he was going to try out the game as well. God damn it. Why do I not know his name? What was it? Something with a H that I know for sure. I can't come up with it right now. Rob should know. But yeah, that was also cool to see. And when we were at TwitchCon, that we ran into some old AVA people. So it was good. So yeah, then the final question that we have on the list. Which guns from the old AVA do you not want to see in AVA dog tag? Well, we can make a very, very long list. Let's start off with Pointman. Guns I don't want to see. Which guns do I not want to see? You know, Pointman is actually more difficult. You know? I think Pointman should just have, like, maybe 5-6 different guns and then 2 different shotguns. One with box reload, one without box reload. Yeah, Pointman, which should not be added. You know, Pointman never really had too many out of the ordinary guns in there. So maybe like the MK18, it shouldn't be added. But nothing really special there. When it comes to rifles, we definitely have some more. The X95R, I think that's a good one for me. I don't think they should add that in dog tag. I agree. Or the Spectre Talbot. Like, no, please. But yeah, rifles. Obviously, the newer stuff that they added, like the CAC and such, definitely don't add those. But there are a lot of classic guns that you could still add, you know, like Sako, for example. I hope they don't add the Remington. Now, PPSH, I think, for Pointman is a gun that they could add, because it is a classic gun, but you have the Bison, so personally, I don't think they'll add it. But, you know, who knows? I don't know. Yeah, other rifles. Arch for Storm was never fun of it. Yeah, like I said, they offer Remington, the NG4K. Please don't. Horrible gun. Well, the M2 for Nan kind of has something, and if they consider Escort, then it's gonna be there at some point. So perhaps. Other guns. The Caltech, irrelevant. Shouldn't add that. I mean, you have a Para, you have an M14. Don't add that. The FNF2K, don't add that. Way too easy. Don't like it. Difficult, to be fair. The one you rented. Well, Celtic was fun to play, but it doesn't add anything new to DocTech. That's why. What was it called? I don't know, for me. I don't know. And then snipers, which one should they add? On the L96, was never fun of. I mean, honestly, I do hope AK-12 is actually an interesting one. Because personally, I think a lot of people will ask for it. And it makes sense. Because it has a place in the AVA history. But it also doesn't step aside the other guns too much, you know? I think the L96 was a pretty okay gun, but what does it offer that the other guns don't offer, you know? You now have the AWM, the PSG. Guns I say that they should add should include, the FR, because it's classic. Then either TPG or PGM, which is a more heavy gun, a slower gun, and a silent one such as the ASW. The rest, like the XM 2010, don't add that. No L96. Perhaps at like the DSR or the Molson. I'd go for the Molson, to be honest, to have like a quick scoping one, because the Molson is so classic. But don't go with the M19 or anything crazy like that. The Springfield that we got. Don't add those, please. Well, we do have the SV already, and to be fair, the DSR / Molson, they are very similar. So I hope they add either of them, well, one of them, in there. Because it's a distinct gun. You don't have quick scope snipers like that, really. Although you could consider the PSG like that, but it's not that quick. So I hope they're going to add one of the two. And if I had to choose, I hope that they pick... Well, I choose the Molson over the DSR. Because that's such a classic gun. But I hope they do add one of those two, yeah. I mean, personally, I don't mind if they add one of the two. But I think definitely in DocTech we're lacking a lot of proper snipers to be added. So, I mean, I don't know why Reddit decided to add the PSG. But it is fairly unique the way it works, so makes sense. But Don't forget about the FR for the love of God. And yeah, at like a TPG and then DSR. So then you have 3 good snipers. And yeah, if you then want to add the ASW or so, that's fine. But don't go crazy. Maybe some semis as well. Like Dragunov, Walter. Maybe. The Dimako. Dimako has something interesting to it, Gars. I mean, it is a weapon that the Dutch military used for a long time. Well, for a while. I don't know exactly how long. But does it have a place in dog tag? I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind, at least. I wouldn't mind. But given that the M4 is fairly viable already, I'm not sure. I think that they definitely have to watch out that they don't add too many guns in the game for dog tag. And that could be a tricky thing, because you do want to add all the classic guns from the old AVA, the set apart ones, but you're going to run into the risk of adding too many guns, creating balancing issues, guns not being used, which is exactly what Reddick doesn't want to do. So balancing is going to be, I think, the most difficult thing for AVA dog tag. So you have to see, hey, which guns do we want to add? And I think overall, most classes they've done well. I think for Pointman, what we just need is as a box shotgun, like the Spaz 15 and the Varesk. I think then you're settled for Pointman. For rifle, well, obviously rework the para a bit differently and add perhaps either Sako or AK-12 and perhaps like a Dimako or something. And what was that gun again? It was another special gun. I forgot the name. And yeah, snipers, the ones that mostly still have to be added. FR, either TPG or PGM. And which one else did I say? These are Mosin. One of those two. Yeah, sure, Zach. Go ahead. Ask your question. If you guys have any more questions, just fire them now. We're just talking about dog tag now, and well, this is the final question, so we'll see. We'll see, Gars. You'll be the first to know, okay? Whoa, Zach. Okay, I did not see that coming. Creepy. Whoa, you actually asked the question. Will you dye your hair or color something big happen on your stream? No, I won't. I don't like to color my hair. I think, to be fair, I feel it's weird, personally, so no, I would not do that. I will not dye my hair. So if something weird happens, I might dress up funny or during carnival, so dress up in my carnival outfit and be streaming, but I'm not dyeing my hair. No chance. With your waifu, well, I have this lovely pillow. No, I don't have one. Now, you know I have like this dog pillow. Wait, let me show you. You're gonna love this pillow. One sec. I bought it when I was in England, like 4 years ago. I gotta find it. I need to make a light here. It's way too dark. Here. This pillow. Isn't it amazing? It's like the best pillow you've ever seen. Cool, right? Nah, but all jokes aside. Medkits. Oh, hell no. Good question, but no, please, no. I don't think health regen makes sense in games. So, no. I don't think... I mean, AV is a fast-paced game, so you go in, you make your kills, or you die. healing stuff only slows it down, so no. Maybe like for Escort, perhaps it would make sense, but it's not even in the game. So for Annihilation, Demolition, no. No health regen, no med kits. No. Don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, AVA is a fast-paced shooter. Believe it or not. Thanks, Simon. Invisible. No. That's way too crazy and so far away from the core of AVA. They shouldn't think of that. Please, we already had too many anime characters. I'm glad that they're not doing them this time around. Freaking jiggle physics. You know that actually got the game like banned or like forced to be reworked in China? Stuff like that? I think that came out recently, like a couple of weeks ago. They actually released the player models today for me. Let me go over to the website. Snipers don't have head armor like before, so it depends on the damage of the gun guards. Let's see. AV is the same as Metro. I haven't played Metro Conflict, so I can't tell you. What do you mean? Whoa, Zach, his opinion doesn't matter. Damn. So it looked more different, like in CS. I'm not sure if it makes sense for me. I think that we have the three different ones. The one that shows your pointman, your rifle, your sniper. That's what you need to know. It doesn't need to get more confusing. I mean, in CS, you can make every character different, so it's more unique. Because, well, it's one standard class, you know? And, I mean, I guess in AVA, to be fair, every class is every size a bit different. Mainly the head armor, and then it's the... No, they didn't leak anything there. Does that PSG have like a camel skin though? Freaking leakers. Side color. Nah, I don't know. For me, I think they shouldn't make it too distinct. I think this is pretty much okay. Although the pointman looks a little bit weird. It looks like the pointman is wearing freaking sunglasses. So I hope that looks better in game. But I think the rest looks good. They gave it a good rework, so it feels like AVA but looks updated. So, especially the let's see, I think it's the EU sniper. Yeah, the EU sniper. I think that one is really done well. I really like that one. For people that haven't seen it yet, I'll just paste it in the chat. There you go. So, playva.com/update3.html. The character models. Not sure. I guess it could be the case, but... You know, camo versus blue, it's quite distinct, so not sure if it's necessary. But I guess we'll find out. If it ever does become an issue, we can... definitely look at it. Any other questions about dog tag or just questions in general? Because I think we're pretty much through in 30 AMA. Reformed. Simon has a question. Oh god. Ooh, that's a good one, Gars. Honestly, if I had to choose, and if they need to add another more laserish gun, I think XM8 is much, much better than Dimako. So I think, honestly, XM8 would be a good pick. Whoa, okay. So I have a question, and you posted 3 questions in the chat, Simon. Are they going to revert or try to make the Super Mega Ultra Recall that you can control it? They are going to do something with that because it's definitely not fully in the way as it should be. So they are going to do something with that. We'll have to figure out how that's like. Are they gonna fix parasounds? No idea. Don't know what they do to the sounds and resolutions. I think what they do is that they focus on how the monitor works. So, no idea. Any other things? Like those type of questions, I don't really know. So yeah, that was the main issue, Simon, and that had to do with that crosshair reset thing. But they're working on that to make it better. So that was one of my main issues with the game. That spraying is too rewarding, and that tapping should become better so that guns like Para can be tapped again. I don't know what the FOV limits are, Vermi, but I saw that there's a slider in the settings, so we can change your FOV. So that's something, and that's something that a lot of people ask for. Today, Julio. I've only been wearing this t-shirt for today. We talked about diffusing sound. Don't add that. Don't be like CSGO on this. I really like it in the fact that AV doesn't have a diffusing sound. You need to keep an eye on it. You know diffuse time is 7.3 seconds. Period. Everyone knows that. You need to keep an eye on it. You need to watch out that people don't ninja it, because otherwise it's going to be much, much harder to defuse the bomb if someone is still alive. So, yeah. I don't think they should add that. Let's see what you have to say about that. When you plant it, there is a sound then, yeah. But it's very hard to hear. But you can use it to fake people out, you know? So you can use it to bait people in. So, it's a tough one, to be honest. I think it makes sense for it to make sound, but nah. It's hard to answer, to be honest, for me. It's hard to answer. I think it's just a mechanic that you shouldn't touch. I mean, it has been so for the same for 10 years, 11 years, so I don't think you should change it, make it more like CSGO or anything. I think you should just keep it as is. Any other things that we still wish to discuss? See, Simon and Vermi got a good discussion going on, so that's good. No, I'm not going to do that in an anime, Zach. But do we have any other questions before we round up? Fair enough. So anything else to chat about? Final call? If not, we will close off, put up the music, and move on to marbles. I guess not. I'll just go over the questions then real quick without going in depth. So the questions that we had: favored AV Doc Tag operative, mentioned Ink. A lot of honorary mentions though. Faceit or ESL, depended on whether I play. Would be Faceit because I can't play as an admin, and tournaments itself ESL. How are doing IRL? Pretty good. It's been an okay year for me. Nothing too interesting, apart of course from the highlight going to TwitchCon, but more of a learning curve this year. Favorite game of 2018, Monster Hunter World, because well, AV Doctag isn't fully released yet. Change on Doctag you like to see, mainly esports related additions and just some minor fixes that we talked about, and old guns you didn't want to see. Just went over that, so stuff like FN2K. XM 2010, MG4KE, Remington, stuff like that. So that rounds off the AMA. So for the AMA, thank you very much for watching that. Appreciate hosting it. Been able to talk about this for almost 1.5 hours, so that's very good. And yeah, I wish you all a very good ending to this year, 2018, and I look very much forward into hosting a lot of streams in 2019 with AVA Dog Tag, because that's when it really will begin. So see y'all next year.